morning, everyone. I'm Gina Sudam. I'm the president of the Wyoming County Chamber of Commerce, and we are thrilled to be here on this beautiful Friday morning offering you our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series. We have our series topic this morning is diversifying your revenue stream. And we have Keith Yurkowski from the Small Business Development Center out of the University of Scranton to talk with us today and to share some of his thoughts on this. But first, I want to say thank you to all of our businesses who have been following along with this series and working with us to make this series impactful for our small businesses. I would like to offer that you continue to follow our series. We will continue to do this series again into June, and then we have more planned into July. We are having Fridays are our announcements from our governor, and we have on some good word that Wyoming County will be moving into the yellow phase by May 22nd. So we're excited for that, but I think that we need to be cautious and understand what that yellow phase means. So please watch for your email today from the Chamber. We will be sending out more information about the yellow phase as we get that announcement today from the governor. And we want to help you open in safe and practical ways. So we are working really hard to make sure that within the next week our businesses can open. Those that will be allowed in the yellow phase can open safely. And if you have any questions regarding that, please feel free to reach out to us at the Chamber. Again, if you call the 570-836-7755, that is redirected to my cell phone. I am working from home right now, but I am available to take your calls. So thank you for that. And without further ado, let's get started with Keith and diversifying your revenue stream. So good morning, Keith. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Are you faring well? I know you've been certainly busy with all the PPP and EIDL questions. And the good news is people are actually receiving their EIDL loans now, right?
Yes,
so
they are. As of this week, people are starting to panic. What do they do with it, and the proper way to track it, and making sure that they're spending it on the right things. So that's what we've kind of transitioned into, is working with businesses on that end of it.
Sure, and it's not as restrictive because it is a loan. It's not as restrictive as the PPP funding, correct?
Correct, right.
So you can, you are more coaching them on the standard business practices or good business practices to spend that money on.
Record keeping is a big one. It's a little different with just making sure that first of all, that they can handle the payment. It's going to be a loan.
Right.
You have to understand that you're going to have a loan at the end of this. So, can you make sure that you have enough cash flow to manage that?
Right. And on top of any other debt service that you have as well, that'll
right.
still be needing to pay. Well, very good. Well, we're not here to talk about that, but we will have some time next week to dedicated to talking about those things and wrapping up. So let's get into diversifying your revenue stream. And Keith, first and foremost, why is it important to diversify your revenue?
Well, a lot of times when we think of diversity, this pandemic has been a perfect example of why businesses need to be diversified and not just stuck on, dependent on one, single stream of revenue. Back in it, and I think back, Gene, I think it was when we first met. I was doing presentations after Hurricane Irene and Tropical Storm Lee to the Chamber, and talking about the business diversification at that point when Tunkhannock was hit by the flood. And then after that, we had Hurricane Sandy, and I spoke to the Chamber again about it at a luncheon, and just talking about different ways that businesses should be diversifying so that they're not, in the event a flood comes or something shuts your business down, that you have a stream of revenue to keep it going. And no one, in all the trainings that we went through, no one ever thought of something like this. This has been beyond. But again, it brought up the need for businesses to not be solely dependent on a single form of revenue. And also, businesses become too dependent on a single customer. A lot of times, they find out that most of their income comes from one customer, and they let the little, the ones that were kind of helping them along the way fall by the wayside, and they put all their efforts into pleasing that single customer. And I think we saw some of that in the gas industry. And when the gas industry dries up or is in a slump, all of a sudden your business takes a hit. You also, a lot of times people become too dependent on a single supplier. And what happens when that supplier has problems? So all of a sudden now that becomes a problem on your end. And we saw a lot of that with Hurricane Sandy, where a lot of our local businesses were dependent on suppliers that were in New York City and New Jersey, and all of a sudden those places were out of business. So it reduces your financial risk. It allows you to market to new opportunities. But the most important thing is it doesn't allow you to have one source of revenue. And also, what we're seeing right now is, people need to find different ways to get their products in the hands of the customers. So, avoiding a single source of distribution or, a point of purchase, so to speak. You need to have multiple ways. So we've seen like local businesses immediately switching to, online bill paying and those kind of things where they strictly dealt with cash before. Now people are kind of not shying away from using cash. So, they're switching to Venmos and PayPals and, the other sources of payment.
Right. And the SBDC can offer some best practices on those, right? Because I know some of the third-party credit card companies have really high fees, and that's a big worry for small businesses right now.
Yeah,
They don't want to be paying a
chunk of their.
large
It takes a chunk of their revenue. Yeah, it's
right.
a.
So do you have best practices if people were to go to your website or reach out about?
We work with them typically on a one-on-one basis to try to walk them through what would work best for them.
Great.
And share with the experiences that we had with other businesses that have gone through these. It's not you're not in this by yourself. Other people have experienced it already. So, instead of recreating the wheel, try to learn from their mistakes.
Right. So, what is that? We talked a lot about one-time services and the risk of those one-time services, or selling products or a single product, and the risk of that. But this model is very successful for many people.
Yes, it is.
So again, I think it's important though to hammer this home about what else can we do, right? So let's talk maybe about, your whole business model is retail, and right now you'll be able to bring your staff back, but people are still hesitant about going out. What are some of the ways that a retail business can diversify their revenue and helping people that are maybe still customers that are still maybe uncomfortable about coming out and into their stores?
It's funny because when we did our holiday marketing session, we talked about some of this and the Amazon effect and how people were struggling to compete with Amazon. And back then we were saying, you need to start figuring out how to deliver products to your customer. If that's not what you're used to, well, guess what? That's what you have to either make the decision to get into that business of making it more convenient for your customers, or you're not going to be in business. So I think that's a big one with retail. And, the other things we talked about there was, a retailer can create gift guides or, make it easy and put together packages of different products that they sell to say, hey, you know what? Your price point is $25. Hey, for $25, we can get you this. And it's a hat, a shirt, a set of gloves, or whatever, and it fits in your price point. And you make it real easy. You see all of these, I can't think of the name of it, and you guys will know it. These ads pop up all the time. The clothing where they match your shirt, your pants, your shoes, your belt.
Right, like a Stitch Fix.
Stitch Fix. That was exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
But that's the model that's working right now, and other businesses are adopting to that. So it doesn't need to necessarily be clothes. but it can be a person who does lawn and garden, and they're putting together a fertilizer with a plant, with a flower pot, some kind of packaged,
Right.
you know,
Kit.
kit. Yeah, that some people can buy. Make it easy for the customer, and
Right.
then deliver it to them.
Right. And we're not necessarily saying no more brick and mortar stores, but we're saying um, take your brick and mortar store maybe online a little bit, or add a personal shopper to that. So if I call say a furniture store, and I know I need a new couch, um, have someone who's willing to walk around the showroom with their phone and show me some of the couches you have available.
Yep.
Talk to me about them so that I kind of have a little bit more knowledge before I go to the store of exactly what I want and what you have available locally for me.
And the thing is, we've hear the negative to that all the time is that I'm a single person, or I don't have the staff. I'm a mom and pop. Um, that can't really be your excuse anymore. There's the things out there like chat bots that you could add to a website that answer questions, that helps you get a notification when someone's on your website, that you can immediately go to them just as if they were in your store and have that conversation with them and guide them through your products that you may have to offer. So the technology is available to make it easier on the store owner. It's just a matter of the store owner taking the time to learn it, which right now you have the time.
Right.
You have the time to do all those things that you said you never had time for, instead of just hoping and praying that everything's going to go back to the way it was. Chances are it's probably not going to. So you're going to have to figure out a way to either survive or make another plan.
Right. And I think the thing with, again, kind of going back to our furniture store example, yes, they might be able to get a similar couch from a larger retailer for maybe a little less money, but the one thing that that larger retailer isn't going to do necessarily is, one, everybody is so um, aware of shopping local right now, so they want to support our local businesses. But two, they don't have that necessarily, that personal touch. So when they come and deliver your new couch, are they carrying out your old couch? Are they disposing of your old couch? And are they doing that, but they're doing it for an extra $100 on top of? So I think just putting all that information together for your customer to say, we have free pickup and
Right.
disposal of your old appliance or your old furniture. I think that goes a long way, again, with that personal touch.
I agree.
So let's get into some things that businesses can do that are kind of more passive income, because I found a lot of these online, Keith, and I found them to be very interesting. Things like subscription services. So again, we talked about Stitch Fix, and for those of you who don't know, Stitch Fix is an online service where you sign up to get a box of clothes every month, and you decide whether you want to keep all the clothes in the box or not, and then you ship back what you don't keep. But talk to me a little bit about subscription services and how a local business might be able to do something like that.
Well, you've seen this. These subscription services have been growing in leaps and bounds with those, and I see it here because I have a wife and 3 daughters who are into these. All of a sudden, makeup is showing up in boxes, or some kind of little food snacks, or whatever. They're just they're part of these subscriptions every month. They get one.
The Dollar
I know.
Shave Club, Keith, I think, was one of the first ones, and that was for men. So I
Yes,
just
it
want to point
was,
that out.
and then it went. Cigars became a big one. I think that was the guy who won the first Apprentice. Was a cigar. He had basically a subscription service for that. But you see it with wine. Again, with your television streaming services today are subscription. The big one that really took off in the last year or so is the meal prep, which I've been telling our local restaurants to, people want to eat healthy, but they're too lazy to cook healthy foods. It's just easier to get. So if you become the option to create a healthy meal, and the companies that are doing it are killing it right now. They're growing in leaps and bounds. And you're making it easy on the customer, and you're delivering it to them. And that's what people want. And you could also, if you don't want to do the delivery, you could have the pickup. You come to my store, or, we're doing takeout. Guess what? We'll do meal prep for your family for the whole week. So here's your meals for the week. And, you give them a menu, they pick the choices they want, and there it is. And hey, I have 5, people in my house, and everybody is picky and they eat different things. So to try to cook dinner is difficult. It's different when I grew up. My mother said, you eat that or I'm going to smack you. They don't do that today. So
right. You eat that or you go to bed hungry.
Or you're going to go to bed hungry. Yeah. So we don't do that anymore. So now everybody has their own little things that they like to eat, but a meal prep service from a local restaurant could kind of, help alleviate some of that.
Yes. And I often think of how few salads I have eaten since this all started. I don't like to make salad at home, but I love to eat salad.
Me too.
But I don't make them at home. They don't taste as good.
It's too much
So,
work.
if a restaurant had just that option.
Well, that's the other thing. Your local restaurant that you love a salad at has their own dressings that they make. Well, guess what? Now you can't get that dressing anywhere. You can't go to the store and buy it. So that local restaurant should be packaging that. And part of that is learning about labeling and regulations to do that. So again, you have the time now. This is how you learn. But you can sell that dressing that everybody likes that, was special to your restaurant.
Right. And well, look at what Ma Greenlee's did a few years ago. And he packaged up all of his sauces, and I've used a few of those during quarantine. I had a few in my pantry, and I've used a few of those, and they were delicious. But that was him, his customers saying, how do I get this at home? Yeah. Right. And so he did that. And I think that's a great idea with some of those salad dressings, because I'm certainly missing that a lot from our local restaurants. How about library subscription services? So I often think about how many files Allison and I and Deb have at our office, some of which could be used and modeled for other things. Talk to me about library subscription services and what this looks like.
And it's funny, like I think back, years ago. This is another thing. Like I'm sitting there telling everyone, "Oh, you have the time now." Well, I always have ideas, and I don't have the time to do them either. So I understand this, but I always thought to myself, we see so many businesses come in who need help with business plans, and shouldn't we create a product that a person could just basically say, okay, I don't need this or this, but if you give me this basic core, and something that you put together and you package it and you sell that thing. And I learned about this from a client who came to me with a restaurant concept, and they went to an online site to build their business plan. And they hired these consultants who charged you $30,000 for the business plan.
Oh my gosh.
So myself and another consultant were trying to investigate this, and we're like, first of all, the business plan was garbage. But so we called the company, and the company did everything they could to talk us out of being hired as consultants. And they said, all you really need is our $399 software package here to help you with the business plan, create your financials, do all the things that you need. And we got off the phone, like, these guys are really good salespeople. Like, they literally said, talked you out of the $30,000 consulting package to say, really, I'm going to sell you a $400 spreadsheet.
Right.
And it worked, like that was a good business model for them.
But we're not talking about, scamming our members. We're talking more.
No, that provided the service that most of the people would need to build their financials and their business plan.
Right. And you could take that model and change it into things like, I know there's a big contingency of wedding businesses who service weddings in our area, right? So if Chippy White Table, for instance,
who were on TV the other night, they did a good job. I saw
them. They did an excellent job.
Yes, they did.
And if they took the model of, hey, we're gonna, like more personalized the Knot, right? For those who got married, they have the knot.com website. And I don't even know if that still exists, but it did exist years ago.
Yeah, it does, I think.
But anyway, to take to your point, Keith, a business plan and or a financial plan and sell that, you could do the same thing with an intimate wedding plan, right? All the things you need to think about, all
Yep,
the vendors you need to think about.
correct.
So there's a lot of options for this. If you are a nonprofit and you have a great model for what your program booklet looks like, that's something that could be certainly templated and possibly resold as a uh, library
All right.
subscription
So
service.
what do you do best that
Mhm.
would be worthwhile to someone to have that knowledge and then figure out how to package that for the customer?
Right. And then things like social media management, right? So we have many companies that do that here within the chamber. Um, but do you do it well for your business? And is it something that you right now have a little extra time and could offer for another local business?
Well, absolutely. But not only could they do that, but they could be offering, like, hey, you know how many people are tuning into your webinars?
Mhm.
I mean, people would say, hey, we're going to teach you, a tip on creating your own graphics, teach you how to use WordPress to update a website, offer those classes in a webinar series that people can subscribe to or pay to, and they can learn how to do some of this on their own.
Right. Yeah, so all great and tangible ideas that I think many of the people on this call today have resources available to do. I just looked up and saw some insurance agents on the call. Make a checklist of things that people need to consider, or things that might increase your insurance around your home that you don't even think about, right? Again, what are you putting out there in the world that puts your name and directs people back to your website? You'll notice that when I send links to these webinars, I never send you the direct link to the YouTube channel. I always send you back to our website, because that's what we want to do. We want to continue to drive traffic to our website to, again, for us, it's about creating more members down the road. So I think that is something that you all need to consider when putting these documents out there. Make sure these documents are living on your website and you're publishing those things out
Right.
there. So Keith, we mentioned this a little bit before, but I want to talk. I want to talk some more about this idea. Tangible wholesale products. So I'm seeing this take off across the country with restaurants, right? What can restaurants get that I can't get in the grocery store? That right now, while the restaurant's income in revenue stream is hurting a little bit, what could they resell? I'm seeing, flats of eggs, pancake mix, large quantities of bacon was one of them I saw. So what are you seeing in this space, and what's working well for some restaurants?
What was neat was I saw down in Philadelphia, there's a produce stand, Giordano's produce. And, it's in the Market Street where people go and they walk and they shop and they buy their vegetables every day. They started basically boxing a produce box with all these different produce items in it,
Mhm.
$35, and they deliver it to your house. And they have a free delivery within a certain radius of certain zip codes of Philly.
Mhm.
And I thought, my God, I wish I lived in Philly because I would definitely buy that. There's my salad,
Right.
right there. The box, I mean, if you go on their website, it's again, Giordano's Produce in Philadelphia, and you look at, they have a shopping cart that they developed. They went and created an online store, and you can buy that box of produce. And to me, that's a perfect example of somebody who's done business forever the same way. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden now they had realized they had to adopt because people can't come out and shop.
Right. I found a brewery that's doing something simple, right? So they're selling it's a brew pub type place, so you can call or order online your dinner, but you could also order all these other things. So like I said, you could order 3 pounds of bacon, but also order your burger for dinner that night. And you can, put it all in your online cart, check out, and then when you go and pick up your meal for that evening, hot, you get some groceries on the
And,
side
and,
that,
and that's,
again, are
that's a
things.
brilliant idea, because right now people, are afraid to go to grocery stores. And again, those people in high risk categories shouldn't be at grocery stores if they don't have to be.
Right,
So if you can go to a small store, a small place like a restaurant who would offer you these items, I think that's ideal.
right.
And it
And
doesn't
sometimes,
necessarily have to be a restaurant.
right,
It could be, anybody that decides, hey, I'm going to start, figuring out another way to diversify income here, and offer some, food products
yeah,
or cleaning products or whatever it would be that, excuse me, 1 second.
sure. Um, so again,
The dog wanted to go
it's funny because we can't see that that's right behind you, right?
out.
Those green screens come in handy. So we've talked about the tangible wholesale. Um, we've talked about online products. Let's talk a little bit about online workshops. So I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, right? When you were talking about, show someone how to set up a WordPress. I would love another quick tutorial on WordPress sites. That's kind of what we use with the chamber. And sometimes I just want to do a little thing, but I can't remember how,
I
right? Or
know.
I don't have my cheat sheet home. So
Right.
I struggle to figure that out. But
But again, that's an opportunity where if a company that offers these services had like a chat bot on their website, that I went in and I said, you know what, I can't remember how to do this on my website. Immediately you'd have somebody you can talk to who can walk you through that. If
right,
you were part of their subscription service or you paid the retainer to be part of that service,
right.
so that could be another, of course, another source of income for them. But the neat part of like the online, there's businesses that are offering, online that didn't before, like hardware stores
Mhm.
offering do it yourself tutorials, which would really come in handy now because I blew up my lawn tractor and I would really like to know how to fix that, without taking it to a shop. But
Right.
so, um, understanding that somebody offers that. I'm seeing hair salons are now offering do it yourself hair cutting through Zoom. And the beauty of that is they can then, transition those people to their online store to buy whether it be a hair coloring products or any kind of hair products, or even if it's scissors or whatever they would need to clippers,
Right.
and to get some sort of affiliate, marketing dollars for helping get that purchase done. They don't necessarily have to sell the products, but they can refer them to somebody who does,
Right.
and get a commission. So again, it's diversifying that income.
Yeah, I think it's certainly been a great way for people. There's so many different things. Now, let's talk a little bit about it's speaking engagements, right? So this isn't for everybody, but if you're passionate about what you do and you have a story to share, um, how could you set up to market this a little bit? And Keith, I know you're also a professor on the side, but I don't know if you've ever done paid speaking engagements. Do you want to talk about that and maybe who you know that works in the space?
Recently did one, but I was told it was a paid speaking engagement, but I never got the paid. So I don't know if that's considered a
Your
paid
check's in the mail.
speaking engagement. But I'm seeing like, one of our local businesses, Inspired Design Studios, a branding company. She's put together a course now teaching branding online, which I thought was pretty neat. And she's sharing her stories and her examples, and how your company can develop your brand, which right now is, again, one of those things that you really never had the time to learn, but you have the time to do it. And two, it's going to be super important for you to figure out a way to stand out when this is all over, especially if you can't go back to business as usual, which right now it looks like even if you can, it's going to be a while. So, it's a good time to learn those things. Maria Treno, the owner of that company, does these sessions online. And again, I'm sure she can do online speaking, but just to be able to go out and do on public speaking isn't easy.
Right.
So that's another thing, is there's things like Toastmasters, the
Oh, did we lose you, Keith?
I think we did, Gina.
Okay, let's see. Let me try to stop sharing my screen and see if he. All right, maybe he'll join us back in the room. I'm going to take this opportunity and share with you some other great things that I put out the question yesterday to all my chamber friends kind of across the country as to what they're seeing in this space of creative and diversifying revenue. And some of them really came back with some great things. I just saw a pizza place is now making bread, right? Oh, there's Keith. Keith is back.
I don't know how much you heard or how much I lost there, but
quite a bit actually. Okay. Yeah, I think you were talking about Maria.
Yeah, well, I said she, she's doing these courses, but then also, the public speaking side of it, I said, is not something for everybody. Mm-hmm. But there are organizations like Toastmasters that you can join to build that skill, where they pick you apart amongst a group of people who are learning just like you are, and you learn from them. And it's a skill it's a fantastic skill if you can develop it. And again, if you have knowledge, it's something to share. People are going to be willing to pay for it.
And here's a great one going back to the salons, right? So a local, again, from a chamber friend across the country, their local salon is doing Zoom calls, teaching women how to curl their hair, and they do them in small groups. So they might do 5 or so women on a call and teach them how to really style their hair. And then, like you said, mention, oh, you should be using this product, or that curl didn't take because you need this or that product, and then sending them to their online store. So
and at the end of it, you should have an affiliate marketing link to a hat website in case you screw up really bad.
Don't cut. No, this wasn't cutting. Oh. Women do not cut your hair.
Oh, okay.
Do not cut your hair. Men probably shouldn't be cutting their hair at this point either. Ask my husband.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just again ways to style your hair. But I think that was a really.
There is an online cutting though. There's an online. They're teaching you how to cut it, which I can't understand how they're doing that via Zoom, but they're doing it.
Yeah, don't do it. Ask my 11-year-old. Pick up his hair. Mom got the scissors. It wasn't fun. We can open this up for questions. So I know some of you have been talking a little bit in the chat. I think we could certainly share some questions there, and Keith and I'd be happy to answer those. I'm looking through some of the things that came through yesterday. One of them that really took off is it's called Strung by Shauna, and this woman had a little Etsy shop, right, where she was doing, and we've all seen them. I think we did them in grade school. You take a piece of wood and you put the nails in a pattern, and then you string the yarn between the nails. Well, she started making kits, right? And now she had to hire people during this because she's making these kits and she's shipping them to people's homes so that, families can do these as activities, and, friends can kind of pick up and do these, together, whatever. But it's there's a full story, and I'll share the story on our website so you all can read it. But it made me think about the folks that do the paint and sip type thing. So if you could box up the canvas and the brush and the paints that someone might need, right, and then sell those, and then say, okay, on Tuesday night at 7, we're all going to get together via Zoom, and I'm going to teach you how to paint, right? Grab your bottle of wine, and heck, you can even, that could be another thing if you offered it through someone who has the ability to sell that. That could be another thing that a revenue stream, a
We have a
restaurant.
local business here that takes, teaches, they do classes to teach you how to refinish old furniture.
Mhm.
Another perfect example, you could do that via Zoom is, Tuesday nights, we're going to have the class. Here's the fee you pay, and we'll walk you through, and this is the products that you're going to need. And we sell those, boom, we ship them to you, and then we'll do the class.
And again, back to, and cooking classes have been huge as well. So,
Right.
We talked about the restaurants who are selling, here's your boxed meal, right? But what do I do with this when I get it home?
Right. Sell them a box, right? Sell a box of ingredients and then teach them through an online Zoom class how to make the meal.
Right.
Again, diversifying the revenue stream, do different things that you normally didn't do to bring in a different source of revenue.
This was a neat idea. It has not much to do with revenue stream, but a great way right now for this gentleman. He's a plumber, and he created a Facebook group called Have It or Need It, where people just post like, "Hey, I have this thing, and if anybody needs it, let me know, and we'll exchange." Right? And she said she has seen everything out there, but I don't know where she's from, but she said everything from toilet paper to sticks of butter to gallons of milk. But just, again, we're all in this kind of, for a while, and I know some other states are still really struggling with, toilet paper shortages. Yeah. So that was kind of a neat idea. He has 3,000 followers, right? So now 3,000 people know this plumber's name. Right. And we'll, maybe think of him the next time. Absolutely. They're like, oh, I need a plumber. So just some, again.
All about marketing is fulfilling a need. So, figuring out what the customer needs and then delivering it. That's, marketing 101.
Right. And just thinking outside of the box. So what are some local things that you all have done to think outside the box? Does anybody, want to share anything? I know there are some in the group. Do you all have questions for Keith on maybe how to get started with some of these ideas?
There's a neat comment there in the chat from Richard. MelissaWire.com. Patriots Cove is doing Etsy consulting. Roland's Produce is going to start selling boxes of produce. So that's great.
Yeah. I think it's been, I think I've seen a lot of things that people are doing locally that are creative, and I think we should all continue to share them.
I saw one the other night where it's a pizza. The pizza boxes have a target on the back of them, and you can advertise your local sporting goods store, and you can reuse the box then as a target when you're shooting target practice. So just figuring out ways to kind of like you said, the trade, figuring out ways to trade different businesses and help everybody along.
Right. And I think that's important. And we're, we hope that this is not the end of, storefront and retail and walk-in business, right? And I don't know that it is. I think it will be slow for a while, but it also may be a time to, pare down that space a little bit, right? Your retail space, to start thinking about how you can reinvent some of that retail space, and save money on some showroom inventory, right? So that was something that was just brought up in our private message sent to me on the chat. So I appreciate that, because I do think that that it is interesting for local people who maybe have been hesitant to get online. I think it's a time that you have to. And I think there are many people out there who are talented enough. And I know Allison posted that we have some members to do it. So I will put the link out there when I post today's webinar. I'll put the link out there of those members who can help you to get your business online if it's something you need to do, because we have a lot of them who are willing to do that. I know it looks like Mark has his hand raised. Mark, let me unmute you and share with us.
Good morning. First, thank you. This is a great presentation. Keith, great information. Thank you. And,
Thank you.
as I'm listening, one of the things that I'm working on is a partnership with Mitch Cornfield at the Woodlands. And what we're doing is we're using Zoom and the affiliate link on Eventbrite to do two things. One, share information. We've got a seminar series called How Do We Get Out of This Mess? And we're featuring individuals who have encountered really tough situations and gotten out of their respective messes. And the idea is that you would tune in, you would listen to these, you would watch these, and you would benchmark those individuals. And from a revenue generating perspective, what we're doing is we're offering an affiliate link. So if anybody is on this call that has a large network with a lot of emails, what Mitch and I are doing is just saying you can monetize that email list by becoming an affiliate for free and get 50% of the gross revenue through your network. So let's say you're a business and you have, I'm going to make this up, 1,000 email addresses, or 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever the number might be. You can become an affiliate for free. You can share this webinar information. And again, everybody that clicks on it and signs up, that business person gets $22. And if nobody signs up, your downside is zero. So it's a situation where there's significant upside potential with no downside potential. And from an information perspective, we did one. Our first one was small in its scope, but we featured a local business person who lost everything in a tornado, rebuilt her business, and it is. I'm going to put that up for free, so you can go to it. You can look at it for free. But when you look at her business model, it's breathtaking. Her warehouse, her production, her inventory, her employees, her everything is her laptop computer. It's breathtaking.
Mark, I think you certainly have a great model there. And if you want to share some information with us, we'll put that in our newsletter next week to just say kind of what you are doing. And if anybody wants to be a part of that, they can get in touch. I know Tyler wants to share something as well, so I'm going to unmute Tyler. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Mark. We appreciate it.
I appreciate your support. And again, Keith, great job.
Thanks, Mark.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Thanks, Gina. I just wanted to say with this yellow phase, hopefully coming this afternoon, Keystone Truck Caps is giving out the signs for the protective masks. You have to wear them to come into the building. Anybody that hasn't been open is going to want to take advantage of that. He's got 147 of them because I took 3 yesterday, but I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that because I think it's a great thing he's doing down there.
Thank you. And I did see that. So when I share today, Allison and I are going to be working on an email that'll go out today about this phase and the things that you need to take into consideration. And we'll be sure that that's shared in there because Keystone Truck Caps has been a great member for a long time, very supportive of the chamber. Thanks for reminding us.
Gina, while Tyler's there, earlier I discussed, about delivery. There are insurance implications, obviously, when businesses decide to start delivering products. And so I think, Tyler, while you're here, I want to throw a plug to say, talk to your insurance agent to make sure that you're covered liability-wise for doing that.
Yeah, I would say, it's case by case, but I don't want to share too much, but there's some certain, individuals that are working for businesses that start to deliver. A lot of times it's covered under their personal auto now with what's going on, but it's case by case. So I think there's other agents on here as well. So reach out to whoever your agent would be. Thanks, Keith.
Right. And the other thing that we've and I was asked to mention this tonight is that we know a lot of bar restaurants. Some of them have been offering drinks to go. Not just you're selling beer or whatever, but actually mixed drinks, which is illegal. So one of the things that, from a business standpoint, there's a bill currently that has passed the House and Senate allowing that. The governor has to sign it, which they're thinking he's going to. He hasn't as of yet, so right now it is still illegal. But also, if you're going to be offering that, even if it becomes legal, what are the insurance implications again on doing that? So, again, insurance agents that are on the call here, these are things that you should be mentioning probably to your to your bar restaurants to be careful of right now.
Yeah, I think a week from now or whenever there's going to be time on one of these calls, I mean, it'd be great if we could collaborate a couple different agents, 2-3 guys to talk and girls. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now with insurance and what people can and can't do, and is the governor's shutdown even legal? So anyhow, I think if we can make some time in the next couple weeks, that'd be great.
Great. We'll look at our schedule because, again, as I've talked about with this whole webinar series, we are learning this as we go, right? Just like all of you. So we'll look at our series and see what we have available. I also have a great new tool that I'm very excited to try out with all of you. It's more of a conference room setting. So if people want to sit down and talk to someone about insurance, we could have insurance tables. And if you want to talk to someone from the SBDC, you could sit at an SBDC table. So I'm excited to bring that tool to all of you. And that may be something we even get on and try next week with our Ready to Rebound next Friday. So that could be an interesting way to do that. But we certainly are interested in hearing feedback of what we need in this series that we don't have available. So again, thank you all. We are way over time today, but I think this was just such an interesting topic, and I think so many people are really interested in how to do this. And I know Keith and I are certainly available to brainstorm with any of you. Keith and his team there at the SBDC have been a great resource to me. Anytime I feel that I have a great idea, I'd like to bounce them off of those guys, because sometimes they tell me that my great idea isn't so great. But they're good for that, and they're good to keep you in check, right, Keith? You always say that.
One of our best services is basically to try to punch as many holes in your idea as we can and let you make it solid. So, we're happy to help do that anytime.
And again, rely on each other to do that as well. So if you need somebody to talk to, Keith and I are here. But also, there are plenty of business folks, very savvy business folks in the area that would be happy to help you talk through some ideas and punch some holes in them. Thank you, Keith, for being with us today. Remember, we are doing retail and professional services on Monday at 9:15 as our next topic in our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series. We thank you all for continuing to join us for these events, and we look forward to talking with you all on Monday. Keep your fingers crossed for the yellow phase today and the governor's announcements, everyone. We'll talk to you all soon.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.